What's up, everybody? Coach Drew here with the BU Stay True program. I hope you are safe and healthy. Today, we are doing our last Coach's Corner with Coach TJ Tibbs, which is the head men's basketball coach at the College of Staten Island. Tibbs, how you doing, my man?
I'm great. I appreciate you having me. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Nice little Thursday morning. I can't really complain right now with my current situation.
Can never complain.
So, Tibbs, this is our last Coach's Corner. We've been interviewing an array of coaches from different backgrounds, different aspects of the game, whether it may be pro, overseas, high school, college, whatever it may be. But you are an actual college coach. Can you let everyone know who you are, where you coach at, and how you even got to that position?
Yeah. So I coach at the College of Staten Island, which is now a Division II school in Staten Island, New York, and I'm the head coach there. And fortunate to be a part of a bigger staff that is just a phenomenal staff of men. And coaching college basketball has been a goal of mine since I graduated high school. I knew that I would want to be in this position. It's something that I've worked for even when I was playing college basketball, something I always had an eye towards. I've coached travel basketball. I've coached high school basketball. Uh, I've volunteered working for a Division I program and worked for other Division III programs, even coached young men like yourself for a brief period. And, just really worked to move myself up the ladder and be fortunate that somebody put me in a position to trust me to be a leader of men. And, I just finished my third season and looking forward to the fourth one next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, me knowing your story personally, I've seen all the work and I've heard all the work stories that you've done, eating Subway sandwiches, not not being in the best positions all the time, but ultimately the work has always risen to the top and put you in the right positions, wherever that may be. Let's talk about your playing career. You've been in Staten Island your whole life, correct?
Yeah, born and raised and lived here my whole life.
So then what was the basketball scene like there, for kids out in Ireland or, people not from New York? How is Staten Island categorized and, that chip on your shoulder, what does that mean to you as a basketball player?
Yeah, it's a great question. Is Staten Island is one of the 5 boroughs in New York City, along with Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and the Bronx. And we're kind of looked at as that fifth borough in general, and then of course in the basketball world. So, and Staten Island is a huge community for sports, especially basketball. It's high school basketball is very big. Youth basketball is very big. I mean, we have a big CYO Saturday and Sunday for championships every year. It's at a high school gym. It's packed. There's a DJ. It's kids really get that NCAA March Madness feel from the third grade all the way through high school. And we're the only borough in New York City that has a true borough championship where Catholic schools and public schools compete against each other and there's one champion. So growing up in that environment, you learn how to be competitive really quickly. You know who all the other good players are from third grade and seventh grade, eighth grade, and 10th grade, and we all get older and you're competing against each other. Then you go to high school and you're teammates with some of these guys. So it's great, but also knowing when you go into the city or another place that you're not looked at as one of the better people. So you have to continue to prove yourself. And that's that chip that you talk about. I think New York City, especially in basketball, is known to have some of that swagger, that confidence. And, as you get older, real confidence only comes from work. So you learn how to work really, really hard all the time so that when you get to a stage to compete against somebody who's supposed to be better than you, you know that you put in more work than them and that, it's just time to perform and play the game that you love to play. So Staten Island, and I'm from Mariners Harbor part of Staten Island, which I always tell people is the most talented neighborhood in the country. And, I'm just one of very big portion of people that have had some success in the sport and in life. And without my upbringing and being in Staten Island, I definitely wouldn't be in the place that I'm in today.
100%. The work has always led up to where you're at now. And I want to dive in even deeper with that. You're the one coach on this year's staff that coaches at a college level. Can you just talk about your style of play? What kind of player were you, even from a practice standpoint too, and a mindset way too?
Yeah, I've always been one of the smallest, if not the smallest player on the court. So I've always been scrappy, feisty, somebody who's not afraid of floor burns. And also I've always put a lot of stake into the IQ portion of the basketball game. I mean, when you're
Mhm.
not the biggest, you're not the maybe not the quickest, and maybe not the most skilled, you have to do something else to have an impact on the game on a consistent basis. And
Yep.
that comes from my father plus um, other great coaches that I've had throughout my upbringing that have allowed me to think the game and have trusted me to develop a mindset to be a coach on the floor. I've always taken pride in thinking the game through and being on the same page with my coach. And I think it was sophomore year of high school. I was fortunate enough to work out with a couple of guys in the summer. One who was Andrew Wisniewski, who was a big time pro overseas, and one was Kyle McLarney, who actually played for Notre Dame, fighting Irish for everybody in Ireland out there, and had a 7-year career in France. Um, and see how they work. I thought spending a lot of time in the gym was working hard
Yeah.
until you see professionals and what they do and how efficient they are. They didn't need to be in the gym for 8 hours, hanging out, going to eat McDonald's, and then coming back. Like that was the start. I wanted to be there, but the efficiency in their work was the biggest thing that I seen, and I thought playing 5-on-5 all day was great, and there's a place for that, but you need to be able to shoot the basketball. So you need to just get in there sometimes with a partner and shoot all the time. And sometimes that's just all you do, and it's a great workout. So growing up and figuring those things out, and then being impacted by my college coach Tony Petoza, who has a free flowing style, and that's how I like to coach. I don't like to put a lot of restrictions on people unless that certain team really calls for it. I'd rather play open, and we have a saying at CSIs: play free. If you think it's a good shot, I think it's a great shot, and you think it's a good shot because you've worked on that. So I have the confidence in you because we've seen that go in many a times, and ideally that's how we like to play, and man-to-man team on defense, and everybody's accountable, and really like to play through our point guard and through whoever our post player is, and just go out there and just let it fly.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned it briefly, the point guard, right? I consider the point guard to be one of the most important people on the court because they are the extension of the coach to a degree. You play point guard throughout college, so what was that experience like? And then even ultimately, winning a championship at CSI.
Yeah, it was amazing that I was trusted by somebody who was a legend, Coach Tony Petoza. And you put a lot on your shoulders, especially being a CSI point guard because of the history of the point guards before you. Um, you're trusted to run the team. If anybody ever seen Coach Petoza coach a basketball game, he doesn't really stand up and he doesn't really say much. The way that we know that he's upset is he gets up and walks and grabs a cup of water and walks back. And that's when we start looking at each other like, okay, he's really upset right now, so we gotta clean it up. But he knew that all the work was put in practice. He's
Yeah.
the best practice coach that I've ever been around and probably ever will be around. You can set a clock to what we were going to do in practice. Sometimes you thought it was really boring because of the things that we did every day. But then when you watch film and you get in the games and you realize that you're doing things like jumping to the ball or um, cutting hard through the lane, it's because we did that every single day.
Yeah.
And, that was great. He organized practices really well, and he gave us the freedom to perform during the game because he knew that we showed it in practice. And, being a point guard definitely has had an impact on being a coach. And then when you transition to being a coach, you start to trust the point guards like you were trusted. But, I kind of think the point guards usually because they have the ball in the hand, you want them to be a coach on the floor. But a lot of times you need to trust the big guy, especially on defense, because they need to be the communicator in the back of the defense.
Correct.
So I haven't had captains since I've become a head coach. I don't really believe in it because I think leaders will lead. I don't want to look at a freshman and say, well, you were a leader your whole life. You can't be a leader now because you're the youngest one here. That just doesn't make sense. We have young CEOs and entrepreneurs all over the place in the country that if somebody were told they had to wait their turn, we wouldn't have a lot of things. We wouldn't have Zoom to record on. So,
True.
I don't like to stifle people and try to make sure that they can grow.
That's dope. I mean, yeah, I didn't hear about Zoom till March. Never heard of Zoom, and
Ditto.
I'm sure there was somebody young that wasn't held back and just got the work done and got this established. But I've been asking all the coaches about their 5 players in the NBA or WNBA that they enjoy watching, right? Not necessarily the best of all time, but for you growing up, has there been 5 NBA or WNBA players that you enjoyed watching or learned anything from and added to your game?
Yeah, I'm gonna start with Teresa Witherspoon. She played for the New York Liberty, and I was actually at the first New York Liberty game at the Garden. Like I still have the poster inaugural season, and I was so young I didn't know what it was, but it was fun. And the thing about Teaspoon was that she played with so much passion and fire and emotion. She certainly wasn't one of the best players in the WNBA. She was
Mhm.
tough as a point guard, but she played with all this fire and energy, and you just love to watch her play. And that's somebody I grew up watching play and have a lot of respect for. Um, my favorite player is Penny Hardaway, who's now the coach of Memphis Tigers. And what I loved about him was that his versatility. He was Magic Johnson slash LeBron James, however you want to call it, before all the injuries, just all the skill and all this ability. He was one of those first hybrid players, a big point guard, a guy that can handle the ball and do all these things. And he had a great career, obviously, before he got hurt. Um, right now, as far as a women's player, I love watching Breonna Stewart play because she's so stoic.
Tough.
Um, so on one end, I like Teaspoon because she's so passionate. But on the other end, I like Stewie because Stewie is just no matter what, nothing gets her rattled. She doesn't get over emotional. She stays within herself, and that's what I love. She doesn't in big moments. She may show some emotion, but she's not doing stuff just because the moment calls for it. And she's very consistent. Obviously, she's a winner. I believe she won 4 championships at UConn, and I recently won a championship with Seattle. So she's a really good player, and watching her grow from her freshman year, actually a senior year of high school, when I seen some tape on her, she continues to get better and to change the game. I love Chris Paul, being a point guard. Obviously, he's somebody who's consistently reinvented himself. Has been a leader. He's a lot of teammates will say that he's tough to play with because he's so demanding.
Yep.
Um, I admire that about him, because he has definitely elevated some of his teams to be better than they should have been, like the New Orleans Hornets when they were down there, and he had Tyson Chandler and David West and Peja Stojakovic. That wasn't really a great put together team, but they took the Spurs to, I believe, 6 games, I think twice, 2 years in a row, something like that. But and he continues to reinvent himself now. He was left for dead going to Oklahoma City,
Crazy
and
left for that.
like really left for dead, and he's done nothing but make that team, or at least lead that team to be better. So that's been awesome. And then I guess the last player I'm gonna have to go with. Now I can always name a bunch of people, but it's easy to say now. It's just Michael Jordan, and obviously watching The Last Dance. Like I'm so glad they put that out, because a lot of kids now get to kind of see what he was about.
Yeah, and they
And
kind of get to understand what they uncle or the old heads are
not that crazy when we're talking about he's better than Braun or whatever, but I love Mike, and has nothing to do with his game. I can't emulate many things that he did in his game growing up, but I just loved his tenacity and his refusal to lose, and his competitiveness and his doggedness on both ends of the floor. So, those are 5. Obviously there's plenty of more, but those are 5 that are just like, great to me.
Yeah, that's a great 5. And it's been crazy to do these interviews with all the coaches because each coach has picked 5 players that like retrospectively have described their game. So like Jason, he picked Zion, LeBron, tough dunkers, right?
Yeah,
So
guys who could behind the back between the legs at the same time. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Khalil, he picked the Tony Allens, right? And more defensive style players. My friend Simone picked more, point guard style players. But I see the one thing with you, you picked a lot of leaders, right? Like not essentially leaders that were just picked, but they just led because they felt it was needed. I think that's been one of the most inspiring things, having our relationship as a coach and now friends. I've
Mhm.
seen you lead throughout your community in Staten Island, and it just makes sense to have you on our BU State True staff this year for our 6th annual camp, which is July 19th. So if you could let everyone know the work that you're doing in your community in regards to the current times and everything like that, what is that work looking like?
Trying to, number one, just be a great citizen and contribute to society the best way I possibly can outside of myself. Trying to think of others as much as I'm thinking about myself. I don't know if we can think of others more than ourselves. I don't know if that's fair to ourselves, but as much as I'm thinking about myself, because we'll get that energy back tenfold. Um, and just in the current times, the one thing I try to come down to every day with anything that I do, and I'm not perfect, is trying to be a part of the solution and not the problem. So
Mhm.
we kind of know what the problems are. Some people don't know what the problem is or refuse to know what the problem is, and that's fine. Everybody has their own right to their opinion. Um, but if I identify a problem and or we identify a problem in our community, and community can mean many of things, I want to be a part of that solution, whether it's a small part or a big part. I want to do my part and I want to help others do their part. Not because it fits my agenda, but because I think it's going to help our world be a better place. And when I say world, it's hard to change the entire world.
Yeah,
It's not
that's a
that
lot of
easy.
work. That's tough.
So that's tough. So it's hard to do that, you know. When I say world, it's really just like when I walk out my front door, that's my world. That's my surrounding areas. You know, Staten Island is my world. When I talk about politics or things like that, I'm not really into it on a national perspective because I don't really see that impact on my everyday life. But
Correct.
as far as local politics and everything, you see those things, whether it be taxes, roads, schools, you see those things immediately, and then you can start working your way up. So just trying to have dialogue, which I think is important. You know, a lot of people may be uncomfortable speaking about the topic, but
Yeah.
may be comfortable speaking to me or having me facilitate it for whatever reason because of our relationship. And trying to understand both sides of any issue because it's never strongly on one side or the other side. It's somewhere in the middle. And the problems arise from people refusing to budge from their sides. Both sides are right in whatever issue. There's truth to both sides, but how can we get to some sort of middle ground where
Right.
you gotta give to get? Because when we're both here, we don't get anything.
We're not going here. We're not going anywhere.
Not, we're not. So we need to get a little closer and be stable here. You know, just trying to educate myself. You know, I think one of the major problems that we have is that we are a headline society. So we read the headline and we just react. We see a 30-second video and then we have this whole view based on the video. And we don't know what happened before the video, what happened after the video, what's the context. We don't read a lot of articles anymore. We don't read articles that may take 15 minutes to write or to read. And people who write articles that take that long to read, they probably put months of research into it. So that's so much information you're getting in 15 minutes that you might not have the time to do on yourself that real good diligent reporters do.
Yeah.
So just trying to check the sources and not just react to everything that I hear initially and try to take a step back and then just have dialogue with friends first and foremost, family, and then with outside people if they're willing to respectfully have conversations where we might disagree and trying to work towards something where it's better for the both of us.
100%. And I've seen that work throughout social media, whether it may be Instagram, Twitter, or even Facebook, where I felt like you had your biggest reach. I haven't checked it since, but I think two or 3 weeks ago, you had your Facebook panel, right? Race relations in America. And from what I saw, you got over 3,000 views just within your network. And I'm sure it's more. Did you see if it got more or no?
Honestly, when people started telling me the numbers, it seemed like because that was outrageous to me. I didn't
Right.
expect that. Right, that was outrageous. It really was. But then, like checking the number, I realized it was becoming a little self-gratifying. Like, wow, we did that, you know. And then it was getting away from all the other things that I was trying to do. So I haven't checked in a while. I did see over 3,000, which when I seen over 1,500, it was outrageous. You know, I expected 20, 30 people to show up and, you know, have a conversation, but that was nuts and very appreciative. And it just shows you that you have a bigger platform, no matter who you are, you have a bigger platform than you could ever imagine. So that was awesome to see. And now you got to do something with that, you know,
Yeah.
that it's not just a one-time thing to try to do something with that.
Yeah, and I think the next thing, I'm sure you have your plans, but that's what made me realize, right? Be you stay true. We do have a platform, right? We have a responsibility to the Bronx and the kids that we've connected with, whether they may be here or in Ireland, to provide a service of basketball, but also provide some leadership as well, right? For everything going on, I didn't feel like it was best for me to have this conversation, right? But from seeing your work and Coach Khalil's work, I think there is a great opportunity to have this conversation at an age appropriate level for our kids who are going to come to the camp. Remember, we're going to have kids probably from youngest 7 all the way up to probably 18. Americans, people from Ireland. So there's going to be a wide range of kids. Could you be able to describe to the kids and the parents out there, for our little break session between the workouts, what can they expect from the conversation between you and Coach Khalil?
Yeah, for it to first be a conversation that is not led based on bias or based on our personal opinions, but more to try to inform the young men and women that will be in the camp, and to start a dialogue for them to even take home to have amongst their friends. Because whether we like it or not, all of our young men and young women are seeing things that they've never seen before. Um, the things that are glorified on TV, that are glorified on social media. If your child has access to a device, which almost all kids do, they're scrolling through things and they're seeing things, and they have a lot of questions. And I don't have all the answers. Um, Neither does Coach Khalil, and we'll be the first ones to say that. But what we do have is a passion for impacting the youth, like every other coach, and the youth stay true, and just speaking to them in a way where they can understand that it's okay to feel a certain type of way. It's okay to be curious. Um, you don't have to be a certain type of way because the media is telling you, based on your race. To gather information and to try to start problem solving for yourself. Most kids are really pushed in a direction based on their environment,
Yep.
whether that be home or their friends or school and what they hear. And we're not trying to be another confusing voice. We're trying to be a link in between what they think and what the truth is. And truth for everybody might be different, but trying to be fact driven along the way to allow people to make their own decisions with real hard facts.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking about it offline. Imagine being a 10-year-old kid and you're seeing all of it. You can't get away from it. It's on TV, it's in ads, it's on your phone, it's your friend group, your church group, your team, your school, and it's just like it could be so overwhelming. So I think that's going to be one of the best sessions that we have at BU Stay True, along with all the other sessions from the other coaches. It's going to be something that some people are not doing, but as a person who wants to provide a service to the kids that we impact in our community, I think it's our social responsibility, how we talked about offline, to do this work. And with you being a college coach and being quarantined right now, what has the work looked like for you and your team? You personally getting better as a coach, and then you being a leader for your team to make sure that they're still getting in their workouts. How has that been looking the last 3 to 4 months?
Yeah, well, honestly, when this all started with COVID-19 in March, where we just literally had our first workout for the spring,
Mhm.
it was tough because guys felt like they were ready to make some progress to start for next year. So guys really wanted to really get back at it. But once it started and it really hit Staten Island pretty hard, we made a conscious effort, or I made a conscious effort as the leader of the program, to not speak about basketball because I just didn't think it was important anymore. I told guys, like, look, you guys are people first. I say all the time, I'm TJ Tibbs before I'm Coach Tibbs. You guys are people first, so you need to take care of home and you need to take care of those responsibilities. But also remember that there is going to be a time that we're going to return and back to being a student athlete. So basketball is your passion like it is mine, you're going to want to be diligent with what you're doing. But I'm not checking and asking you. We're not going to have any conversation about basketball. We're going to speak about you. And as a coach, I kind of started, there were a bunch of online coaching clinics and a bunch of great coaches speaking about basketball, leadership. So probably for about a month and a half, I was really locked into those 2 to 3 sessions. I led a couple of sessions myself, connected with a bunch of people. I try to connect with a new person every single day. And I had a bunch of great conversations with a lot of different people. And then honestly, I hit a wall at some point, and I became zoomed out and clinicked out. And it was just hard because the one thing I miss is the interaction with the kids. And we meet once a week, and we can talk or FaceTime, but there's nothing like real live interaction and being around. That's why I coach college basketball. As we when our seniors graduated, we drove around. We did one of those honk your horn thingies. I'm not a fan of it, but
Yeah,
um,
it was just what was being done.
what we're doing, and we went to our three seniors houses, and that was the first time that we were all kind of around each other, and it was amazing to me, just something little like that, just having one of the kids joke on me or vice versa. It's just stuff that you miss every day. So and then now with what's going on socially in America, it's really about having hard conversations amongst our team, because one of the tenets of our program, and you've been a part of a team led by me, even though it was a short period, is disagreement.
Yeah,
We can't agree on everything, and it's not always going to sound sweet, because that's just not the world we live in. So what I try to do is prepare. I promise each kid only one thing when they come to the program, is that this is going to be the hardest thing in your life that you ever do. So I'm going to challenge you mentally, emotionally, physically, and socially. So I think a lot of people refuse to have disagreements or conversations because they just don't know how to deal with somebody not agreeing with them,
yeah,
and then they just go off the end. But our kids are really prepared to passionately argue about their position, and to hear somebody else passionately argue, even if it's the complete opposite thing that they feel, and it's great to watch. So we had our own conversation, and there was a lot of things said, and a lot of the things weren't said in the best of light, but it was all said with love, because we all love each other. And it could be a very divisive topic right now, but I think it brought us together even more to hear people feel a certain type of way, and sharing their experiences, and sharing their lack of understanding or their actual understanding. So basketball wise, it's taking a back seat. We started to talk about it a little bit because we do need a distraction. So
yeah,
we started to talk about it a little bit, but I think it's a lot of my kids are out protesting or doing things on social media, and all I challenge them to do is, if you're gonna repost something on social media, you better have the facts about it, because I'm gonna call you out about it. Whether I whether I agree with it or not, you better know what you're reposting and where it comes from. Don't just start reposting videos because it drives a narrative or an agenda. So, that's been a lot of my day, just seeing what these guys post on social media, and then having conversations sparked on that. And I've enjoyed being somebody that they can come to and just throw stuff at.
Yeah, 100%. And to round out this interview, you've been fortunate enough to win a college championship as a player and as a coach. I'm assuming those are probably two of your proudest moments or best moments within the game of basketball. Do you have any other moments that stick out for you in terms of your basketball career that have just been like fulfilling or you're proud of?
Yeah, we right now it's 2, 6, 7. So right now, as a head coach, not counting my time with you, 'cause I can't take any responsibility for that. But for anybody who's finished the eligibility, we're 7 for 7 with graduating them. And my goal is to be 100% for the rest of my life. That if you finish your eligibility for me, that you're graduating. So that's non-negotiable. So graduation is like the proudest moment every year for me. Um, Honestly, basketball wise, like on the court, personally, winning the championship and going to Sweet 16 as a player was amazing. It was an amazing time, and just seeing the faces on my teammates and the community. We were fortunate to have the game that we clinched to go to Sweet 16. We hosted, so we were at home.
Yeah,
So I can close my eyes and see, like it was literally a minute ago, everybody's face and smiles, and people that I work with now that was administration when I was playing, and how they felt and what it smelled like, and that's something I can never get out of my mind. And then seeing my teammates go on and afterwards, and just carry the torch and continue to grow the program. I mean, that was really proud. I've had some of my proudest moments as an alum of the program than as a player and as a coach. So when you're so close to what's going on, you're like too close to the elephant. You can't really admire or appreciate what you're doing until you take a step back. But our guys graduating. I have one kid who's coaching in college now. He was at Fordham last year, and he's
mhm.
making his way around. So I'm really proud of that. And I should have another one next year, at least another one next year, and Austin Mick, who's your former teammate. So those things and the relationships just have former player, have two children, and I was one of the first people that they told each time, and that's something that's just incredible, and I'm just looking forward to all the growth that I have with guys that graduate and become alumni and becoming friends.
Absolutely. I mean, we can see the impact that you're having not only on your community, but the people around you, your team. If you could leave one piece of advice for our young student athletes who may be watching this on YouTube or wherever it may be, and their parents, New York City, we're fortunate enough, we entered phase one. Hopefully we continue to go into the other phases and return to our normal. If you could give one piece of advice for the young student athletes and the parents out there, what would it be?
I'm pausing because I don't want to say something that's like really cliche. Um, what I'm going to say is keep the main thing the main thing. So whatever it is you're trying to do that. That's some people, I'm trying to get my YouTube followers up, my IG followers, and I'm trying to, whatever it is you're trying to do. If you're a student athlete, be the best student athlete you could be, because that's going to grow you to be whatever it is you want to be. And don't have dreams, have goals. So dreams are for people that are visionaries, and they turn them into goals with work and with preparation. Or dreams are for people who are just hopeful that things will just happen. People who, I hope I win the lottery. I hope I come into some luck today. Those are dreams. You know, I don't go to sleep to have dreams. I'm living my dreams right now in real life, and that's because of work. And I turned all my dreams into goals, and that's the biggest thing. That's whoever it is that you are. Don't move off that for anybody. You always got to constantly adjust to your surroundings, but um, if you work really hard and you're prepared, be really proud of who you are, continue to grow, keep that main thing the main thing. I am a basketball coach. There are other things that I like to do, that I have hobbies. I'm really into music. I'm really into language. But when it's basketball season, my time is spent on basketball. I don't have any hobbies during basketball season. I'm a basketball coach. There are no hobbies. There are no movies. There are no Netflix. It's that, and it's a gift and a curse.
Yep.
But I think it's been one of the reasons why I've been fortunate to have some levels of success, because like I tell everybody, if you've seen what I do behind the scenes, nobody would think anything that I did was impressive, because everybody can do it. I'm not doing anything that anybody is not capable of, and I'm not even saying I'm doing anything special, but I really worked hard to be in the spot. Um, I didn't know anybody in college basketball that could help me get somewhere, so I really had to work from the bottom, and I'm really proud of that, with support from my parents, but nobody that kind of just handed me a spot. Like you said, like eating Subway, that's a really, eating Subway every single day. That's something that is like uh, uh, something in my story that really means a lot to me and shows like how far that I've come. Not that I'm too good for Subway now, but uh, it's just a really big part of my story. So do those things that love the people that are next to you, and you know speak it into existence, manifest it, and try to be as positive as you can, and real confidence comes from work.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Coach Tibbs. Appreciate that. And to everyone watching, I thank you for watching this last episode of the Coach's Corner. I'm so grateful to have TJ Tibbs as a former coach, as a friend, um, and as just a mentor that I could relate to. The work that he's going to do at this year's BU State True Camp is going to be monumental, and a correct step that we got to take as leaders in our community. So I'm looking forward to that. If you haven't registered yet, you can visit our website at www.bustateTrueProgram.com. Follow us on social media at BU Stay True, and join our Facebook page at BU Stay True Program. Coach Tibbs, I thank you very much. And to everyone else, we'll see you July 19th.
See you there.